Hi dancers! Welcome to the Whole Dancer YouTube channel. If this is your first visit here, I'm Jess. I'm the Whole Dancer founder. Today we're going to talk about how to deal with feelings of guilt around eating indulgent foods. A lot of times when we're trying to eat really well and eat very healthfully, we don't necessarily think about the fact that our food should also be delicious and satisfying and make us feel fulfilled and nourished. A lot of times we think it should just, it's all vegetables and fruit. It doesn't necessarily taste that great. So we create this this dichotomy of food that we think is good versus food that we consider to be bad. We tend to label things that are more indulgent, like cake or cookies or bread or sugar, sweets, chocolates, all of that tends to get labeled as bad. Whereas you'll label things like rice or quinoa or vegetables or fruit as good. The big problem with labeling some foods as good and some as bad is that then when you eat the foods that you've categorized as bad, you feel bad. You think to yourself, wow, I've really screwed up. I shouldn't have eaten that. It's not going to, it's going to show up on my thighs or my hips. I very much hate that saying, a moment on the lips, forever on the hips, or whatever it is, something to that degree, because that's not actually how food works. Eating something indulgent or eating something that is a little more rich is not going to forever be held by your body. You're going to work through it. We don't gain weight in a day. So if you are having, if you weigh yourself, that's something I would suggest not doing. But when you're weighing yourself, a lot of times you'll notice those fluctuations. If you weigh yourself every day, you'll notice the daily fluctuations. And a lot of times we think it's actually actual weight that we've gained. From one day to the next, your weight could fluctuate, 5 pounds or potentially more, depending on your personal body makeup and water retention and all of that. So you can't look at it and say, oh, I've eaten cake today, and then you weigh yourself tomorrow, and if the scale is up 2 pounds, you've gained 2 pounds from that piece of cake that you ate. That's just not how food or your body works. Our bodies tend to try and stay at a set point, and it tends to be a place that's, pretty easy for you to maintain. As dancers, we are oftentimes fighting with that comfortable set point, that easy to maintain set point, and trying to get a lower number or a lower weight or body fat percentage and all of that for ourselves. So we are already doing a little bit of a fight with our body's natural set point. And that is sort of just a part of dance. And there are those dancers who have a very easy time maintaining that lower set point. Their natural set point might just be lower. And then there are those of us like myself who have struggled more with that. And it's not as easy to stay at the weight that you feel you should be at for dance. Now, as much as I always try to put this out there, that I think we should each be fully happy with ourselves wherever we are, because that's a necessary mindset shift in order to, make any progress. You have to already accept yourself for where you are. And as much as I wish that we could just be at our natural set points and perform easily and not have any criticism, a lot of times when we're at our natural set points, if it's not where our artistic director or the artistic staff of the ballet company thinks we should be to perform, then we're getting constant criticism or losing roles and things like that. So, you kind of have to decide for yourself if you want to be fighting your body and trying to fit into this mold that a specific dance company is putting forward for you, or if you would rather let your body be where it's supposed to be naturally and easily and healthfully and maybe dance somewhere else. Like, those are obviously big life choices and life changes. So big decisions you would have to make. Keep in mind that it does tend to be somewhat cut and dry in that way. There are going to be companies where they're like, nope, you're great. We love you just the way you are. And then there are going to be other companies that are like, yeah, we think you should be this or look like this. Personally, I'm no longer interested in fighting with myself. When I was younger and dancing professionally, I was much more likely to be trying to beat that set point and reach a lower weight and maintain it. So if you're in that place, I totally understand where you're coming from, and I understand the struggle. Getting back to our main topic, let's talk about indulgent food. So as I said, like one piece of cake, even one day of not great eating is not going to change your weight significantly. It's when, maybe you start to be having cake 5, 6, if you're eating cake 7 days a week, that's probably going to start to impact your weight in the long term if you keep it up. Lots of sugar and processed fat in there, and processed carbohydrates and simple carbs, white flour, white sugar, all of that. Like in the long term, eating it every day is not going to be good for you. However, it is possible to find a balance with indulgent food so that you don't feel guilty. One of the best ways I think to do that is to find ways to indulge that are also healthy, and ways that you can consume indulgent food that's also serving your body. So when you make things at home, like there's healthy recipes for banana bread and brownies and ice creams and things like this. So if you make it at home and then you're in control of the ingredients, arguably you could eat something that's indulgent just about every day, definitely in a moderate amount, a small serving. That also is something that most people could indulge in without seeing an impact on your weight or body, without gaining weight, without, seeing that change. And then if it's a less healthy option and something, say you go out to a restaurant and get dessert there, that's something that you probably would want to do less frequently. So if you've already found that moderate stance with these things, there's no reason to feel guilty. If you feel guilty when you're eating these things, ask yourself why. A lot of times we just feel these things and we don't stop and ask well, where is that coming from? Is it because you've told yourself when you eat those things, you're going to gain a bunch of weight? Is it because you've told yourself when you eat those things, you can't dance as well, or you're not going to reach your body goals or reach your dance goals? Is it because somebody else told you that when you eat those things, you're not going to be able to reach your goals? So try and figure out where it came from for you. Where did that guilt originate from? When you can identify that, a lot of times you'll see that maybe it's coming from a place where you didn't have all the information and really did think that one day of eating cake or one day of not eating great was going to have a long-term detrimental impact on your body and your weight and your dancing. Maybe you'll discover that you feel guilty because one time one of your dance teachers said, none of you should be eating cookies or cakes, because dance teachers do sometimes make those comments. So it might be coming from a teacher or some artistic staff, or maybe something you read from a dancer that you admire or something like that. But try and figure out where the guilt is coming from, where it originated from, so that you can start to debunk it for yourself. Everyone's tolerance for sweets and indulgent foods is going to be different, so you do have to find the balance that works for you. But from the mindset perspective, the guilt is something that we can all get rid of, because it is possible to, at some level, indulge, for most of us, every single day. So take confidence in knowing, and take some calm in knowing that it is possible to indulge and not see massive differences in how your body looks or performs. The problem comes in when, like I said, you're eating cake 7 days a week, or you're, having desserts 7 days a week, huge servings of desserts. But on the other hand, when you're having these things in a moderate amount and you're not, feeling like you're addicted to sugar or anything like that, it can absolutely work just fine for you. So if you're feeling guilty, do your best to let it go and know that all we can each do is make our very best choices possible. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any thoughts on guilt around indulging or how you manage feelings of guilt around indulging, go ahead and comment below. And as always, reach out if you need anything. Head over to thewholedancer.com and see what we've got going on there. See you next time.